It's Friday, February 15. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. The government is projecting that it will spend $803.2 billion to finance the affairs of the country for the next fiscal year. This includes $731.12 billion for recurrent or housekeeping expenses and $72.11 billion for capital expenses. Capital expenses are for new projects like the construction of roads, schools, and bridges. Meanwhile, approximately 34% of the current budget will go to debt servicing. The figures are contained in the 2019-2020 Estimates of Expenditure, which was tabled in the House of Representatives by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark yesterday. The 2019-2020 budget is slightly more than the $802.5 billion that was expended in the current fiscal year, which ends on March 31. The restoration work at Cornwall Regional Hospital could cost up to $1 billion more than was projected. On Thursday, the Independent Oversight Committee appointed by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton to oversee the work estimated that repair work could cost up to $3.5 billion. Dr. Archibald MacDonald, chairman of the oversight body, gave the figure while addressing yesterday's monthly meeting of the St. James Municipal Corporation. He said, quote, "The restoration of the CRH is a complex project requiring far more extensive work than was originally imagined. Rehabilitation work can be tedious and costly, and the budget for the project is going to be somewhere in the range of $3 billion to $3.5 billion. End quote. Last year, the government projected that it would have cost $2.2 billion to effect repairs to the facility, where operations were downscaled last year as a result of noxious fumes that affected staff and patients. The hospital's restoration is scheduled for completion by November. The government will further refine draft regulations for the National Identification and Registration Act, which seeks to establish a reliable identification system for Jamaicans. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen says this will be done through ongoing consultations involving state entities, civil society groups, and the private sector. The statement was one of several announcements made by the Governor General during his delivery of the 2019-2020 throne speech during the ceremonial opening of Parliament on Thursday.
The government will continue the digitization of the records of the Registrar General's Department, work on the business process for enrollment, vetting, quality control, issuance, renewals, and consent-based identity verification in preparation for transitioning to a digital economy.
The Act seeks to facilitate the establishment and regulation of a national identification system, NIDS, for the registration, verification, and authentication of identity of citizens and other persons residing in Jamaica. Under this system, which will be comprehensive and secure with anti-fraud features, every Jamaican will have a unique identification number. The government also plans to implement fully electronic payments to some 128,000 program of advancement through health and education beneficiary families.
Strategic priorities for the government continue to be social protection, human capital development, and inclusive sustainable job creation and economic growth. Last September, PATH commenced the payment of a back-to-school grant with approximately 560 million Jamaican dollars disbursed through this initiative. Not just the initiative, but through this new initiative, with 160,000 students receiving grants of $3,500 each. This will be an annual benefit paid to school children on PATH in the month of August.
Also on this year's agenda, as part of the focus on aged population who have a wealth of knowledge and experience, the government will seek to increase access to employment for older persons through the National Council for Senior Citizens Golden Age Support Program. The ratings on Jamaica's global bonds has been upgraded by international ratings agency Fitch. This announcement came from newly minted Minister of Science, Energy and Technology Favour Williams speaking at the post-cabinet press briefing.
And their upgrade of the government of Jamaica's international debt to single B plus from single B, and their revision of the outlook to stable from positive.
There was also an upgrade from Fitch of the country's debt ceiling.
The rating agency also upgraded the country's debt ceiling to double B minus from single B, meaning strong local entities can be rated as high as double B minus. This is excellent news. It means, for example, that a Jamaican company with strong diversified earnings can have a rating that is not constrained by Jamaica's country rating. Benefits of this to the entities would be lower funding costs and access to a wider base of potential investors. Taken together, this is Jamaica's highest rating in over 10 years. The government of Jamaica welcomes the ratings upgrade from Fitch and remains committed to the continuation of policies and programs that enable a stable macroeconomic environment that facilitates the economic growth required for sustainable and inclusive development.
Fitch said the rating is supported by Jamaica's structural strengths, such as its relatively high income per capita and social indicators policy consensus, and relatively strong institutional capacity. Fitch also noted the strong performance of tax revenues, the declining path of public debt to GDP, the decrease in government's interest, burden reduction in the unemployment rate, and strong external liquidity, among other factors. The search for a new Bank of Jamaica governor has shifted gears, and a committee is to be appointed to spearhead the effort. The contract for current Governor Brian Winter expires on November this year. Information Minister Senator Will Reid gave an update at the bi-weekly post-cabinet press briefing on Wednesday.
The Minister of Finance has indicated to the Cabinet the need to commence a formal search for a new governor of the Bank of Jamaica. It was noted that the contract for the current governor had been extended for 2 years and would expire in November of this year, and that the governor had completed 10 years in the post and had successfully completed programs of activities agreed on, and that the modernization of the Bank of Jamaica required certain changes, including new leadership. Cabinet has taken note of the plans of the Minister of Finance to formally inform the opposition about this initiative and the establishment of a search committee.
Last month, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke hailed Winter for successfully advancing specific reforms and playing an integral role in the formulation and consideration of the reform of the Bank of Jamaica Act. Dr. Clarke had also advised then that David Marston, who worked at the BOJ prior to joining the IMF, will lead the search committee to assist with identifying a short list of suitable candidates for the post. The woman accused of stealing a day-old baby from Victoria Jubilee Hospital last month is expected to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Monday on charges of child stealing. French was taken into custody last Tuesday when she attempted to register the baby at Registrar General's Department in Twickenham Park, St. Catherine. A subsequent DNA test confirmed that the baby belonged to a couple whose child was snatched from the hospital on January 9. The baby boy has since been reunited with his parents. A former Jamaica Labour Party councillor has been charged with illegal possession of firearm following his arrest at a joint police-military checkpoint in Innswood on Old Harbour Road in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Sunday. Barrington Bailey, otherwise called Junior of Kirkland Heights in Red Hills, St. Andrew, was formerly a councillor for the Ensom Division in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. According to police reports, Bailey was stopped in an Acura motorcar at the checkpoint on Sunday morning. The lawman said when approached, he accounted for a licensed firearm. However, upon searching the vehicle, an illegal Taurus 9mm pistol was reportedly found. The US dollar on Thursday ended trading at Jamaican $134.20, down by 62 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $101.67, down from $102.17, while the British pound sterling ended trading at $172.16, down from $172.82. In regional news, Haitian President Jovenel Moïse has said he, quote, will not leave the country in the hands of armed gangs and drug traffickers, end quote, amid continuing protests. He broke his silence in a TV address after a week of violence in which at least 7 people have been killed. Protesters who accuse Mr. Moïse of corruption want his resignation. Meanwhile, the BBC has reported the U.S. has ordered the departure of all non-emergency U.S. personnel and their family members from Haiti. Canada has temporarily closed its embassy. In the past week, thousands of people have rallied in the capital, Port-au-Prince, and other cities, burning tires and throwing stones at the police. A number of foreign tourists have been trapped in their hotels as the security situation deteriorates. In sports, we look to cricket as West Indies fast bowler Shannon Gabriel has offered an unreserved apology over a comment he made to England captain Joe Root during an incident that led to a ban for the Windies player. The International Cricket Council, the ICC, suspended Gabriel on Wednesday for 4 one-day international matches following his exchange of words with Root during the recent 3rd test in St. Lucia. The incident occurred when Gabriel was bowling to Root and were locked in an intense stare-down. Gabriel reportedly said to Root, quote, "Why are you smiling at me? Do you like boys?" End quote. Root's response was heard on stump microphones telling Gabriel, quote, "Don't use it as an insult. There's nothing wrong with being gay." End quote. Gabriel has since admitted that he recognized now that he was attempting to break through his own tension while he made the comment to Joe Root. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Pleasant viewing.